Welcome to this predicted paper from onmaths. This paper represents the best guess for the upcoming exams. Please use this paper in addition to your other revision. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. Onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions, and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing. Enjoy! If there were 39 people on the bus, and 4 people got off the bus, that would leave 35 people remaining on the bus. So the fraction of people staying on the bus is 35 out of the 39 people on the bus. So our answer is, as a fraction, 35 over 39. And we can't cancel that any further. So if we do our place value grid, and so we've got units here, tenths, and hundredths. Don't think we need any more. So we can put in our number, it's 5.87, and you can see here that the 8 here is in the tenths column. So the 8 represents 8 tenths. To convert between meters and centimeters, we times by 100. So we do 12.31 times by 100, which would be 1,231 centimetres. To answer this question, we're going to have to remember what BIDMAS or BODMAS is. And it stands for brackets, indices, division, multiplication, addition, subtraction. Okay, if you do BIDMAS, obviously BODMAS is slightly different. And here we've got no brackets, we've got no indices, so those don't really apply. We don't have a division, but we do have a multiplication, so we must do that first. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do 8 times 6. 8 times 6 is 48. And we've not got any multiplications anymore, and then we've got an addition. So 11 plus 48 is 59, and that's our answer. Now you wouldn't get the same answer if you did the 11 plus 8 first. That would give you 19, and then 19 times 6 is definitely not 59. Frequency just means how many. So when it says the frequency for a score of 11, it just means how many 11s are there. So I'm going to cross these out as I go. So 1, 2, 3. So 3 11s. Then for 12 there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For 13s there are 1. And for 14s there are 1, 2, 3. Multiples are times tables, so the multiples of 2 are the times table of 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, etc, etc. So the only number in this list that is in the 2 times table is the 6. To find if a fraction is equivalent to a quarter, you can multiply the numerator by 4 and it should match the denominator. So 1 times 4 is 4, and that matches the 4 at the bottom. So 3 times 4 for this first fraction is 12. Well, that doesn't match. 4 times 4 here is 16. Well, that doesn't match. 12 times 4 here is 48. That doesn't match. 2 times 4 is 8. So that does match. So our first answer is D. And let's see if there's a match for our last one, which hopefully there is. 8 times 4 is 32. So there is a match for our last one as well. So those are the 2 fractions. So for shop A, they're selling the rulers in lots of 3. And so we just need to get our 60 and divide it by 3 to figure out how many lots of 3 we have. So we've got 20. So if one bundle of rulers costs £1.50, then 20 times £1.50 would be £30. So in total it would cost £30 at shop A. We're going to do the same for shop B. Their bundles are 5 rulers, so we're going to do 60 divided by 5, which is 12. So we're going to buy 12 bundles at £2 each, and that will be £24. So the cheapest price is at shop B at £24. Something to realise in this table we're given in this question is that the triangle has 3 sides, quadrilateral 4, pentagon 5 and hexagon 6. And that number is just 2 less than the number of faces. So basically, if you've got the number of sides, you add 2. So 4 plus 2 is 6, 5 plus 2 is 7, and 6 plus 2 is 8. So if we've got 20 sides, and we just do the same thing, so we're just adding 2, then we should have 22 faces. So our answer is 22. So the way these tables work is if you're looking for distance between Chauvin and Grill, you find out where the two of those overlap. And so they overlap at the 41. So you go down from Chauvin, left from Grill, and we get 41. And so it would be 41 miles between them. When we simplify a fraction, we want to try and make the numbers at the top and the bottom as small as we can. So looking at the numbers 24 and 60, we need to think, is there a number we can divide both numbers by? Well, they're both even numbers, so we can divide them both by 2. And that will get us 12 over 30. These are also both even numbers, so we can again divide by 2. And that will give us 6 over 15. Now 6 and 15 are both in the 3 times table, so we can divide them both by 3. And we get the answer of 2 over 5. Now 2 and 5, there's no numbers that go into 2 or 2 and 5. And so that is our answer. Now we could have gone straight from the question to the answer by dividing by 12. And some of you may notice that 24 and 60 are both in the 12 times table, so you could have gone straight there, but it makes absolutely no difference if you divide by 2, then divide by 3, or you could have divided by 2, then divided by 6, or done it in any of those orders. Looking at this line, what do you notice about all the coordinates? Any coordinate along this line, the x-coordinates are going to change, but the y-coordinates will always be 3. So the equation of the line is y equals 3. A comparative bar chart is where you have 2 bars next to each other meaning different things. So it's probably easier just to start drawing it, and then we can talk about it as we go along. So we've got males here at 12. And so what we want to do is a bar that is 12 high. And these are going up in 2s. So it will be up here. There we go. And then right next to it, we're going to do females, which is 14. And so what we're going to do is we're going to make this go up to 14. And there we go. Now, we need to be able to tell these apart. So what I'm going to do is just shade in the females. And we should do a little key. And we say that if they're not shaded, it's males. And if they're shaded, that is females. Okay, let's carry on with the bar chart. So it's 14 and 6. So notice I've got gaps between the pairs. So we've got 14 and 6, which will be down here. And again, we're just going to shade in the females. And then finally, we've got 8 and 16. So 8 would be here, then 16 would be up here, and finally obviously we're going to shade in the females. Percent means per 100, so 8% is the same as 8 over 100. Now we can cancel this down because it wants it in simplest form, so we can halve top and bottom. So it becomes 4 over 50. We can actually halve it again, so it becomes 2 over 25. So the answer is 2 over 25. So we're going to start off by working out what 100% of 120 is. Well, that's obviously just going to be 120. And we're trying to get to 6%. So we always start off by working out 10%. It's always normally useful. and we just divide that 120 by 10, so we get 12, and we try to get 6%, so it'd be nice if I knew 5%, and 5% is nice and easy because we just halve that 10%, so that'd be 6, and if we got the 1% as well, we can get to the 6%, so to find out what 1% is, we just divide the 10% by 10, and get 1.2. So to get the 6%, we're going to add the 5% and the 1%. So we're going to add the 6 and the 1.2. And so we just do 6 plus 1.2, which is just going to be 7.2. And that's our answer. So what we need to do is find out where the graph is at its highest. And so it's highest here. And so if we go down from there, we find out what year it is. Well, these years seem to be going up in 1, so that's 1950, 1951, 1952. So the answer would be 1952. So the first thing we're going to do is write this as a ratio between the fractions. So we're going to have green to black. Now it says that a quarter of the counters are black, and therefore the remaining counters will be green. So if a quarter are black, that leaves 3/4 to be green. And what we can do here is on both sides of the ratio, what I'm going to do is just times it by 4. So I'm just going to times 4 both sides. So 3 divided by 4 times 4, because over 4 just means divided by 4. So 3 divided by 4 times by 4 just gets rid of the fraction. And 1 divided by 4 times 4 is just going to be 1. Now, this might surprise some people because they will probably think it's a ratio of 4 to 1, but we can show here that it's a ratio of 3 to 1. For each of these options, try and construct in your head the triangles that would be made from these lengths. And I'm going to give an example for question D, or for option D. And I'm going to construct my triangle just with sticks. So we're going to start off with our first stick, which is 19 centimeters. Then we're going to do another stick, which is going to be 37 centimeters. And we've got one last stick, which is 61 centimeters. Now, looking at the first two sticks, the actual combined distance of them, so when we add them together, so be 19 centimeters plus 37 centimeters, is 56 centimeters. So that's the combined width of them. And you can see that that actually wouldn't be able to create a triangle if the third stick is 61 centimeters. So the side here could combine with this side. So we could move this whole stick here onto this side here, but we can't actually make a triangle with it because the two lengths that we've got won't ever reach the end bit here. They just won't ever reach that bit to be able to create the triangle. And I'm just going to put that back. So our answer is option D. So if we look at the graph, this point here is it's the biggest. This one comes close, but it's not the biggest. So the biggest would be this one. And if we draw a line down from there, now we might think that it's enough to say Q4, but actually there's two Q4s here, so we must state the year as well. So Q4 in the year 2000. So to draw this graph, what we're going to do is just pick 3 points for our x values. So we're going to start off with x equals -2 and feed that into the equation. So we've got y equals 0.5 times -2, take away 5. So half times 2 is just 1, and a positive times a negative is a negative. So it's going to be -1, take away 5, and -1, take away 5 is going to be -6. Then we'll do our next one, which is x equals 0. And let's just finish that one off actually. We'll put it into the table, so -6, and we'll plot it. So -2 and -6 would be here. Okay, continuing on with x equals 0, so it's going to be y equals 0.5 times 0, which is just going to be 0, take away 5. So it's just 0, take away 5, which is just minus 5. So 0 minus 5 will be slightly higher, about there. And our last one will be x equals 2. So we've got y equals a half times 2, which will just equal 1, take away 5. So it'd be 1, take away 5, which would be minus 4. So minus 4. And so that will be here. Now, don't just draw in the line that we've got. You've got to draw in the whole thing. And it will look something like that. So no gaps at all. You've got to do it for the whole graph. So I started at minus 4 on the left, ended at 4 on the right, and just lined my ruler up with the 3 points we've worked out. So we have a set of vertically opposite angles here and here. And we're going to start with those because we have to find out what m is before we can work out what x is. And vertically opposite angles are always equal, so we've got 13m plus 39 is going to equal 2m plus 149. And we're going to get our lines in there because we're going to solve this. And to solve this, we first of all take away the smaller amount of m, because we've got m's on both sides. We can't really cope with that when we're solving. And so we've got a 13m and a 2m. So we're going to remove the 2m. We're going to take that away from both sides to start off. And so we're left with 11m plus 39. And we've just got the 149 on the right hand side. Next we're going to remove the number. So take away 39 from both sides. And we've got 11m is equal to 110. And then we're going to divide both sides by 11 to find out what m is. So m therefore equals 10. So we know if m equals 10, we can then work out x. And the way we can do that is the fact that this one and this one are both on a straight line. So they are both on this straight line here. So we know that they've got to add up to 180. So let's write that down. 13m plus 39 plus x is equal to 180 degrees, or I don't normally put that in for the working out, I always put that in for the answer. So we can solve this, or well, first of all we know what m is, so it'd be 13 times n, which is 130, and then we can solve this. So let's get my solving lines in. And so that's going to be 169 plus x equals 180. And we're going to just take that away from both sides, the 169. So we've got x equals 11. So the value of x will be 11 degrees. The median is the middle number when the numbers are in order. Now it's quite difficult to do with a table, so we used a formula, and that formula is to find the position of the median. We do how many numbers there are, which I'll call n, we add 1 to it, and then we divide that by 2. And that shows us where the median is. It doesn't tell us what the median is, it shows us where it is. Now, we need to figure out where these numbers are in this list. So the first number is a 2, and there is one of those. The next number is a 3, and there's 3 of those. So 1, 2, 3. The next number is a 4, and there's 4 of those. So 1, 2, 3, 4. The next number is a 5, and there's 8 of those. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and the next numbers are 6, and there's 13 of those. Now I'm not going to do all of them, okay, because we're not going to be working out the median by writing out all the numbers, but I do want to show you where these numbers are coming from. So what we do is we do a running total. So I'm going to do a running total. The running total is just adding up the frequencies as we go. So the first one is just 1. Then we're going to add the 3 in the next row, so that's 4. Add the 4 in the next row, 8. Add the 8 in the next row, 16. Add the 13 in the next row, and that would be 29. Now, we use the running total because the running total shows us where the last number is in that group. Okay, so this shows us that the first number is the last number that is a 2, which is true. We can see it here. This 4 shows us that the fourth number is the last number that's a 3. So let's check that. 1, 2, 3, 4. It works. This 8 shows us the 8th number is the last number that's a 4. Let's check that. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This 16 shows us the 16th number is the last number that's a 5. So 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And this 29 here shows us that the 29th number is just the last number, but it's the last number that's a 6th. Okay, so let's work out how many numbers there are. And we do that by adding up the frequency. So we're just going to add up all of the frequency together, and we find out that there's 29 numbers altogether. So 1 plus 3 plus 4 plus 8 plus 13. So using our formula, which is 29 plus 1 divided by 2. 29 plus 1 is 30, divided by 2 is 15. So we're looking for the 15th number. So looking down our running total list, well, the last number that's a 4 is the 8th number, so we haven't got to the 15th number yet. And the last number that's a 5 is the 16th number. So if the last number that's a 5 is the 16th number, then surely the 15th must also be a 5. And so our median is 5. Another way of writing a to the power of 6 is a times a times a times a times a times a. And another way of writing a to the power of power of 5 is a times a times a times a times a. Now you might notice that altogether there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 a's that are being multiplied together. When you multiply something together 11 times, you get that thing, which is an a, to the power of 11. An easier way of doing this is just adding the powers. So when you've got the same base, which we do here because they're both a, you just add the powers together. The midpoint of a line is just the halfway point of the line, and we can see that the halfway point will be here. And so the coordinates of that point are 0, 2. To find the surface area of the cuboid, I'm just going to label the faces and do them individually. So we've got A, which is 24 by 13. So we're going to do 24 times 13, which is 312. Next we're going to do B, which is this one at the top, and it's 24 across and 8 is the length. So 24 times 8, which is 192. And finally C on this side here, which is going to be 13 times 8, which is 104. Now notice that the faces all have the exact same face on the opposite side. So this one at the back is also A, this one at the side is also C, and the one at the bottom is also B. So what I'm going to do is add up all the areas of the squares and double it. So to work out the surface area, we're going to do 2 times and then 312 plus 192 plus 104, and that will give me 1,216 centimeters cubed squared, because it's an area. To find the area of a parallelogram, we use a simple formula, which is the area is the base times the height. Now the base and the height must hit each other at 90 degrees. So this length here is not counted as the height because it doesn't hit the base, which is here, at 90 degrees. The height is this length here, and the base is either this length here or the length at the top. It doesn't matter because they both hit the height at 90 degrees. So we're going to do the base, which is 11, times the height, which is 3, and that gives us 33. Now both of the base and the height are in centimetres, therefore the area will be centimetres squared, 33 centimetres squared. So 100% of 120 is 120. And let's put that in a bubble. So we're going to split that bubble up to find out what 10% is. And to find 10%, all we need to do is divide it by 10. So divide 120 by 10, you get 12. And then we want to split that bubble up again into 5%. And 5% is found just by halving it again. And so that would be, or just halving it, so that would be half of 12, which is 6. We could do with 1% as well. And we're trying to get to 26%, so we'll do 1%, so dividing the 10% by 10 again, 1.2. And we could do with 20%, and 20% just means we're going to double the 10%. So double 12 will be 24. So to work out 26%, we need to add these together to get to 26, so we're going to add these numbers here together. Okay, so we've got a 6, a 1.2, and a 24. And we're adding them together. And that would be 11, so carry the 1, and that would be 3. Now, it says to decrease it by 26%. So 26% is 31.2, so we need to subtract that. So we're going to do 120, take away 31.2. So I need to borrow 1 from the 2 to make that a 10, borrow 1 there to make that a 10, and that would be a 9. So 10 take away 2 is 8. 9 take away 1 is 8. And there's a 1 here, so we need to borrow that 1. That's 11 take away 3, which is 8. So our answer is 88.8. So we're going to track the amount of eggs needed to make a certain amount of cupcakes. So we're given in the question that it's 6 cupcakes requires 4 eggs. And what we're going to do is we're just going to work out how many eggs is required for 1 cupcake. So we're going to divide both sides by 6. And that's for 1 cupcake will be 2/3 of an egg. And we're looking to make 18 cupcakes, so I'm going to times that by 18 on both sides. So for 18 cupcakes, 2/3 times 18 is going to be 12 eggs. So we're going to require 12 eggs. Something else we could have done to go straight there is just times the amount of cupcakes by 3 and times the amount of eggs by 3. So we've got to first of all work out how many parts there are altogether. So we're told that the ratio of red, yellow and green is 3 to 2 to 4. So to work out how many parts there are altogether, we do 3 plus 2 plus 4, which is 9 parts. So there's 9 equal piles of sweets. Okay, but to work out what 1 part or 1 pile of sweets is worth, we're going to get the 99 sweets and divide it by the amount of piles, and that's going to be 11. So 1 part is worth 11 sweets. We're asked to find out how many yellow sweets, and yellow is the middle one, so it's going to be the 2. So yellow has 2 piles of 11 sweets. 2 times 11 is going to be 22, so it's going to be 22 sweets. The modal class is just the group that has the mode. Okay, the modal group. Class just means group. Now all these guys here are groups, so any of these could be the answer. To find the modal class or the modal group, we just look to see which one has the most numbers in it. Well, the first group has 16 in it, the next group has 11, the next group 17, the next group 11, and the next group, or the last group, 13. Which of those is the most? Well, 17. So the group that has the most is this 30 Let's do that a bit nicer. 30, and then C, and then 35. That essentially means 30 to 35, but make sure you copy it down correctly from the table, so exactly as it shows it in the table. The difficulty with finding the perimeter of this shape is we do have some of the lengths missing, so we're going to find the lengths that are missing first, and then we'll find the perimeter. So the one on the right here is going to be the same as the one on the left, so this is going to be 5.6. Same with the one on the left of the 2.4, so this will be 2.4 here. This length here is going to be slightly more tricky to work out. What we do is we work out the total length across, or the total width across, which is 9.8, and we take away the bits that we know. So we take away these purple lengths at the bottom. So to work out the length of the missing bit, we're going to do 9.8, and we're going to take away the 4.3 plus the 1.2. And then when we do that, we do 9.8, take away those bits, we get 4.3. So this missing bit here is 4.3. So to work out the perimeter, we're going to start at the top left of the shape and add up all the lengths as we go around the shape. So 9.8 plus 5.6 plus 1.2 plus 2.4 plus 4.3 plus 2.4 plus 4.3 plus 5.6. When you add all those up together, you get 35.6. It's a perimeter, which is a distance, so our units are centimetres. So we're going to write an expression for the amount of people on the first bus. So they've started with X passengers and they've gone to 11 bus stops with X passengers. So altogether that is 12X. So we're going to have the first bus, and so we've got 12X, and then on the last bus stop 19 passengers get on, so plus 19. Now for the second bus, well, we start with X and a further 5X come on, because 5 bus stops with X passengers, so that's 6X altogether, and then 79 get on. And it says the first bus finishes with less passengers than the first. So the first bus finishes with less, and the way we show that is with this inequality here. Now all we need to do is solve that inequality, and we've got X on both sides, so we look at the X's. We've got 12X and 6X, so we always take away the smaller amount, so we're going to take away the 6X both sides. And next thing we're going to do is take away the 19 from both sides. And so, meant to be 60. Got ahead of myself. And the last thing we do is divide by 6 both sides. And so we've got X is less than 10. Now, it says here, assuming no passengers got off either bus, what is the largest value for X? Now it is tempting to write down 10, but it says X has to be less than 10. So the biggest number we can get that is less than 10 is 9. So to find the area of a rectangle, we do length times the width. So here, to find the area, we will do the 10 times the whole of the 10t plus 4, and to show that we're doing the whole of it, we put it in brackets. So a different way of writing that is 10 brackets 10t plus 4, and whichever method you use to expand brackets, feel free to do it here. I'm going to just do the grid method, but whatever method you prefer. Actually, I don't need the, I've done too many here. Let's get rid of that. So we've got 10 times 10t plus 4. So, and we're timesing them, so 10 times 10t, 10 times 10 is 100, so it'd be 100t, 10 times 4 is 40. So our answer will be 100t plus 40. There are 4 different proofs for proving that 2 triangles are congruent. Congruent means exactly the same. The first one is that if all the sides are the same, The next one is that two angles are the same, then a side, or an angle, then a side, then an angle. Next one is right angle, hypotenuse, side. And the last one, side, and then an angle, and then another side. Now, we don't have an angle or a right angle at all in this, so we can cross these out. But we do have three sides that are exactly the same. They're both 10, 13, and 16. So the proof is side, side, side. First thing I'm going to do is just draw the square out, and we know the length of it is 10x plus 10, but it is a square, so that's the same all the way around it. But we're also told that the perimeter is 440, so the perimeter is 440. So what we can do is we can work out the perimeter in algebra by multiplying 10x plus 10 by 4, or just adding up the four lengths that we've got. So we're going to do 4 times 10x plus 10. But we also know that that is going to be 440 because we're told in the question that the perimeter is 440. So put our lines in because we're going to solve, and we're just going to start by expanding the brackets. So that'll be 40x plus 40 equals 440. Then we're going to get rid of the plus 40 first, so take away 40 both sides. And so that would be 40x equals 400. And then we get rid of the 40 before the x, so we divide both sides by 40. And we've got x equals 10. So our answer is 10. So the symbol here basically means and. And the way I remember it is if you draw that symbol and just put a line through it, you can make the word and. So we're looking at the probability of getting something that is in A and C. So the only ones that are in A and C are this 8 and this 9 here. So we're going to just add the 8 and the 9 together, which give us 17. Now we need to then work out how many numbers there are in total, so that's all of them. So 4 plus 8 plus 9 plus 5 plus 8 plus 3 plus 11 plus 6. So we need the total, which is 54. And then we get the 17, and we put that over the amount in total, so over 54. If I start by drawing a number line, and we're going to put the 110 in the middle. Now I'm going to label the next one down and the next one up. It says to the nearest 10, so the next one down would be 100, and the next one up would be 120. Now we're interested in the cutoff, and the cutoff point is between the two numbers. Okay, so that's the cutoff point. If it goes above that cutoff point, it would have rounded to the next number up. So if the number was here, it would round to 120. If the number is on the cutoff point, which we can see is going to be 115, then we know it would round up. So we need to find the biggest number in this part here. So this part here, and it includes this line actually, so it includes this line. So all the numbers that would have rounded to 110 would have been 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, which would be here. But if it was 115, it would have rounded to 120. So 114 is the biggest number it could have been before rounding to 120, and we know it didn't round to 120 because in the question it says it's 110 to the nearest 10. So our answer is 114. So to find the area of a rectangle, we just multiply the width and the length. So that's what we're going to do here. But whenever you have an expression representing a length or a width or anything really, you just put brackets around it. So we go u minus 2 times u plus 9. Okay, and the way we do this is with our grid, and just going to draw out the grid. And so we've got u minus 2, and we're multiplying it by u plus 9. Don't want too many for some reason. And so we've got u times u, which is u squared, u times minus 2, which is minus 2u, 9 times u, which is 9u, and 9 times minus 2, which is minus 18. And what we're going to do is we're just normally going to be able to add these ones together. So our answer will be u squared, and then we're going to do 9u plus minus 2u. Well, that's just going to be 9u take away 2u, which is 7u. So plus 7u, and then minus 18 at the end. So this question is asking us really to divide the 5 3/4 by 1 3/4. So we're going to do 5 3/4 divided by 1 3/4, because we're finding out how many of each of these towels, which is 1 3/4 meter, can be made when the total amount of cotton is 5 3/4. So first thing we're going to do is convert them to mixed numbers, to top-heavy or improper fractions, because at the moment they're mixed numbers and we can't divide or times if they're mixed. So we times the 5 by the 4 and add it to the top, which will be 20, and then add it to the top 23, and then do the same. 1 times 4 is 4, plus it to the top is 7 over 4. Now a little trick here is KFC. We keep the first fraction, we flip the second fraction, and we change the divide sign to a times sign. So we're going to keep this first fraction as it is, change that divide to a times, and flip the second fraction. Okay, whenever we multiply, we just multiply the tops, so 23 times 4, which is 92, and we times the bottoms, which will be 28. And now we need to convert this back into a mixed number. So first of all, actually we can simplify this, because we can divide top and bottom by 4, so that would be 23 over 7, and then make this a mixed number. So 7's into 23 go 3 whole ones, and then obviously 2 remainders, so it's 2 over 7. Now it asks us for the amount of towels that she can sew patterns into. Now the issue here is that she will do 3 whole towels, but then have some left over, but she doesn't have enough to create a 4th towel, so it's just going to be 3 as an answer. So we're going to start off with x equals 0, and we're going to write out this equation, but with 0 every time it says x. So it's going to be y equals 0 squared minus 0 plus 10. Well, 0 squared is just 0, so 0 take away 0 is just 0, plus 10 is just going to be 10. So the answer there will be 10. Do the same for 1. So it will be 1 squared minus 1 plus 10. Well, 1 squared is 1, 1 take away 1 is 0, plus 10 is 10. So that will also be 10. 2 squared minus 2 plus 10. 2 squared is 4, 4 take away 2 is 2, plus 10 will be 12. Now we're going to do the negative, so we're going to look at minus 1. So it's y equals minus 1 squared, and it's going to be minus 1 plus 10. So a little bit more complicated here. Minus 1 squared is just 1. Now here you have 2 negatives together. When you have 2 negatives together, it makes a plus. So we've got 1 plus 1 plus 10, which is going to be 12. And then we'll do the minus 2, so it'd be minus 2 squared minus 2 plus 10. So minus 2 squared is 4. The 2 minuses here make a plus, so it'd be plus 2, which would be 6, plus 10 will be 16. So we're going to plot these on our graph. And so we've got minus 2 is at 16, so that'll be there. Minus 1 is at 12, which should be here. 0 is at 10, 1 is at 10, and 2 is at 12. Okay, when you join this up, things to be aware of is you need to make sure that you have a round U at the bottom and not a flat bottom. Okay, so you want to avoid a flat bottom. You also want to make sure that you avoid feathering like that. You want just one nice smooth line. And my recommendation is always to turn the page on its side. I don't have that luxury, so I'm going to try my best with this. But you need to make sure it goes through all the points and here's the part here where it goes beneath those 2 points. So make sure it goes beneath those 2 points. On most exams, I see them, basically what they do is they draw a line across from those 2 points and say that the line needs to go beneath that, or your curve needs to go beneath that line. So they're looking out that you've gone beneath the line. So we're looking to write a formula for the cost in pounds of hiring a microwave for X amount of days. So the cost is C, so it's going to be C equals, and it says it's going to be 55 pence a day. Now it wants the answer in pounds, so we need to convert this 55 pence into pounds. So that's going to be 0.55, and it's going to be 0.55 times the amount of days. Well, it says the amount of days is X, so it's going to be 0.55x. Then it says that there's just a one-off cost of £15, so you're going to have to pay £15 regardless. So we're just going to add 15 onto that. So the answer would be C equals 0.55x plus 15. So I'm going to write the equation out, the formula out. And we're asked to make y the subject, so I'm just going to get my lines in. And so what's stopping us from having y on its own? Well, this minus 1. How am I going to get rid of it? Add 1 both sides. So we've got x plus 1 equals 9y. What else do we have that stops y from being on its own? Well, there's times 9 here. So we're going to do the opposite, the inverse, which is divide by 9 both sides. And to do that nicely, what we do is we just do it as a fraction. X plus 1 over 9 equals y. So therefore y is x plus 1 over 9. To go from meters to centimeters, we obviously times by 100. But to go from meters squared to centimeters squared, we times by 100 per dimension. Now, whenever we talk about things in meters squared, we're talking about areas which have 2 dimensions. So we times it by 100 squared. So when we've got a 2 meters squared here, we times by 100 squared to get it into centimeters squared. So that's going to be 20,000. We can rewrite this question as 2 over 3 divided by 20 over 1. So whenever you have an integer, it's just the same as that integer over 1. Now the rule is that we're going to keep, flip, and change. So we're going to keep the first fraction as 2/3, change the divide to a times, and flip the second fraction. Then we multiply the tops and multiply the bottoms. We can actually halve top and bottom here, and it does ask us to simplify it if possible. So our answer is 1 over 30. So here we're asked to find how many bread rolls we can make. We've got 89 kilograms and it takes 0.08 kilograms to make a bread roll. Something we can do is convert these into grams, or we can just keep it at kilograms, but I've got a neat little trick. And the trick is, if you've got a decimal when you're dividing, as long as you do the same thing left and right, you can multiply them by 10 or 100. In this case, we're going to multiply both by 100 because it will make the division a lot easier, because it will make this right hand side, instead of 0.08, it will just make it 8. The reason we can do that is 89 divided by is the same as 89 over 0.08. And as a fraction, we can just times top and bottom by 100. So it would be this over 8. So now we can do the bus stop method. So 8 on the outside. And in fact, I might use a straighter line here. There we are. And we've got 8,900 on the inside. So 8 into 8 go 1, 8 into 9 go 1, remainder 1, 8 into 10 go 2, remainder 2, and 8 into 20 go 2, remainder 4, and 8 into 40 go 5. Now it says how many bread rolls can we make. Now we can make 1122 and a half. Well, half doesn't really count, so we're just going to say 1122 whole bread rolls. Yes, we've got half a bread roll left over, but we are asked how many whole bread rolls can we make. Something we know about rectangles is opposite sides are equal, so these two will be equal. And these two will be equal. And you notice now that we've got simultaneous equations. So what I'm going to do is get the coefficient of the y the same. And I'm going to do that by multiplying everything in the second equation by 3. So we get 6x plus 9y equals 123. And I'm just going to write in the first equation underneath, because with simultaneous equations we work downwards. Now looking at the signs, they are the same, and the s in same is the s in subtract. So we're going to subtract going downwards. We're just going to subtract going downwards. So 6x take away 3x is 3x. 9y take away 9y is nothing, which is good. That's what we need. And then 123 take away 93 is 30. We're going to get our solving lines in, and we're just going to divide by 3 both sides. So we've got x equals 10. So we know what x is, but we need to find out what y is. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick one of the equations. I could pick the 2x plus 3y equals 41, and just substitute the value of x in. So 2 times, instead of x, it's times 10. Plus 3y equals 41. So it would be 20 plus 3y equals 41. Get my solving lines in. And we're going to take away 20 both sides. So we've got 3y equals 21. And then we're going to divide by 3 both sides if I don't run out of room. So y equals 7. So we've got x equals 10, y equals 7. Now I could check that with the first equation as well. So 3 times 10 is 30, 9 times 7 is 63, 30 plus 63 is 93. So we know we've got it right. So the way this formula works is we have m, which is the final amount. The 2000 here is our initial amount. The decimal in here is our multiplier, and the power here is the amount of years. So the way multipliers work is they are the percentage divided by 100. So if we go the other way and times it by 100 to make it back into a percentage, it will be 102.9%. Now it says, what is the interest rate of the bank? Well, the interest rate is always going to be 100%. Well, this 102.9% is 100% plus the interest rate, which will equal the 102.9%. So the interest rate is going to be the 2.9%. You always start off with 100%. So if I put £5 into my bank, I've got 100% of that £5, and then the interest rate is on top of that 100%. So our answer here will be 2.9%. To work out the area of a rectangle, we just multiply the width and the length. Here they are mixed numbers, so all we do is the width times the length. Now when you multiply with fractions, always make them top heavy first, or improper, and to do that you times the big number by the bottom and add it to the top. So we're going to do 1 times 2 and add it to the top, so 3 over 2. Same with this one, 1 times the 3 at the bottom, added to the top. 1 times 3 is 3, add to the top is 5. Now we've got to get the numerator, we don't need to get the numerator the same, we're multiplying. All we do now, really easily, is just multiply the tops and multiply the bottoms. So we've got to convert 15 over 6 into a mixed number because it asks for a mixed number. So 15, how many 6's go into 15? Well, we're first of all going to have 2 whole ones, and how many left over? There are going to be 3 left over. Now 3 over 6 is the same as 1/2 because we can divide top and bottom by 3. So our answer is 2.5. There are a few different ways you could answer this question. I'm going to do it with a tree diagram, but you didn't need to draw a tree diagram to answer this question. So we've got our first tree, which is our first bus. And the choices are male and female. And we've got our second kind of branch, I suppose. And it's still male and female. And this is our second bus. So the property of male on a first bus is 9/15. And therefore the property of female is 1 minus 9/15, which would be 6/15. Male on the second bus is 7/15. And so female would be 8/15, because they need to add up to 1. And it's independent, so these will be the same. And the question is basically asking what is the probability that both will be female. So to have both female, we need to have gone down this line at the start and then this line again. Okay, so looking at the fractions along the way, it's 6/15 and 8/15. The word "and" in probability means times. So whenever you're finding the probability of getting to an outcome, so this outcome would be FF, because they're both female, you are multiplying the fractions that you go across. So it would be 6/15 times 8/15. So 6 times 8 is 48. And times the bottoms, 15 times 15 is 225. Now you can actually cancel that down. So what you can do is you can divide top and bottom by 4. And that will give you 16. Is it 4? No. You can divide top and bottom by 3. And that would be 16/75. So either 48/225 or 16/75. First thing we notice is that there is a square here. So we can work out what this length is going to be. It's also going to be 40 centimeters. And whenever we're working out the area of a shaded area, we're normally working out the area of two shapes and subtracting one from the other. And this question's really no different. So we're going to start off working out the area of the square. And all we need to do now for that is 40 times 40, which will be 1,600 centimeters squared. I normally only put units in our answer. The next thing we're going to do is work out the area of the circle, but to do that we need to work out what the diameter of the circle is, and if you notice that the diameter of the circle is just 40 degrees. It's the same as the width of the square, or height of the square. So if the diameter is 40 degrees, the radius would be 20 degrees. So for the circle, for the area of the circle, we're going to do pi times the radius, which is 20 squared, and 20 squared would be 400, so this will be 400 pi. This question's asking us to leave it in terms of pi, so we're going to do that. Now next we're going to work out the all of the corners, so that includes these 3 here and this one. So I'll say, like, I don't know, 4 corners. Just try and explain to the person marking my exam what I'm doing. And to do that, we're just going to do the square, take away the circle. So 1,600, take away 400 pi. Now we can't actually do anything more than that. That is our answer. So it's just, we just leave it at that. And to work out just the shaded bit, which is this bit here, they are 4 equal amounts that we've got for these corners. So just one corner, which is the shaded bit, will be the 4 corners divided by 4. Now we've got a kind of fraction here. We can divide all of the terms by 4. So that will leave 1 at the bottom, 100 pi here, and this will be 1600 divided by 4 is 400. So we're just cancelling the fraction, and actually we leave it as 400 minus 100 pi, and that indeed is our answer. You can't simplify that any further. First thing I'm going to do is add these column vectors. So we're going to add the tops first, and then we're going to add the bottoms. So it's plus minus 14. And so at the top it would be minus 4, and 11 take away 14 is minus 3. Then I go pick a point on my shape, and the bottom or the top one tells us how far right we're going. So we know we're going 4 to the left because it's obviously a negative. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. The bottom one tells us how far up we're going. Well, it's going to be down because it's a minus 3. So 1, 2, 3. And we can do that for each of the other points. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. And when we've done that, we can join them all up with straight lines. And label the new shape B. First thing we need to do is expand this quadratic here. So we put down 2 sets of brackets with an x at the start of each of the brackets, and we've got to find 2 numbers that multiply together to make minus 15 and add together to make that 14. So thinking about it, it's going to be minus 1 and 15. That works for both of them, yep. We get the left hand bracket equal to 0, and we solve. So we're going to add 1 to both sides to get x on its own. X equals 1. So that's one of our solutions. We do exactly the same thing to the other bracket. Get it equal to 0. So we're going to solve it. So we're going to subtract 15 from both sides, and we get x equals minus 15. So that's our other solution. So to answer this question, you need to just know the answer off by heart. There is a diagram that can help us actually get there. And if we just draw a right angle triangle and put the lengths as 1, got right angle here, we can use Pythagoras, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, to work out the fact that this is going to be root 2. Because it's an isosceles triangle, this angle here is going to be 45 degrees, and same with the bottom right one, but we're not interested in that. When we label it with our marked angle here, we've got the adjacent is here and the hypotenuse is here. Now we know from trigonometry that cos x equals a over h. The angle is going to be cos 45, and a is going to be 1, and h is going to be root 2. Now, this is a bit of a strange one with 1 over root 2, because we need to actually be able to rationalise the denominator. And basically what that means, if you haven't done surds yet, or you aren't doing surds, is you times top 1 by root 2. And so we end up with root 2 over 2. So if you ever see 1 over root 2 is absolutely fine as an answer, but if you ever see the answer as root 2 over 2, the two are actually exactly the same. So writing 1 over root 2 is fine, or writing root 2 over 2 is also correct. So we're going to first of all convert the 11 litres into millilitres. So we're going to do 11 times 1,000, which would be 11,000. Okay, so we're going to just draw a line, like a number line, and we're going to have the 11,000 in the middle. Now, what would be the next one down if we're looking at to the nearest 10 mil? So we're going to add a 10 mil on, which will be 11010, and we're going to take the 10 mil away. So 11,000 take away 10 mil would be 10, what is it, 990. Now when we're looking at limits, with the upper and lower part of it, we are looking at halfway points. So halfway here and halfway here. So this halfway point will be 10,995, and the next one will be 11,005, and that's the halfway points. And so that is going to be our upper and lower bound. And we just need to say that V can be anything above the 10,995 and including that, and it can be anything below 11,005, but it can't include that, because if it did, if it was 11,005, it would have rounded up to 11,010. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. Onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing.